హైదరాబాద్ రియల్ రంగం రానున్న రోజుల్లో గణనీయంగా అభివృద్ధి చెందుతుందని, రానున్న రోజుల్లో అనేక బడా నిర్మాణ దిగ్గజ సంస్థలు నగరంలోకి అడుగుపెట్టే అవకాశం ఉందని అంటున్నారు అన్రాక్ గ్రూప్ చైర్మన్ అనుజ్ పురి గారు. మరి ఆయన భాగ్యనగరానికి విచ్చేసిన సందర్భంగా రియల్ ఎస్టేట్ గురువుకి ఇచ్చిన ప్రత్యేక ఇంటర్వ్యూ ఇప్పుడు చూసేద్దాం.
Hello everyone. Today we have a big man of the Indian real estate industry in our Paulomi Estates Real Estate Guru show. It's none other than Mr. Anuj Puri, Anarock chairman. Sir, welcome to our Real Estate Guru show, sir. Can you tell our viewers about the global recession impact on Indian realty and also on Hyderabad?
I think it's a very interesting question is that what is the impact of the global recession on the Indian reality and Hyderabad in particular, both perhaps on the residential and on the commercial. I think on the residential side, the sector continues to do very well. COVID hit, we guys were very nervous. As the COVID started to wean off, the demand for residential started to progress, and that we have seen steady state across India doing exceptionally well, and Hyderabad as well as where we have seen luxury, premium, mid housing, affordable, all levels of housing do very well. I think Hyderabad has a unique problem is that the land availability is always a challenge, and that the pricing at which land is being made available becomes a bit of a challenge. That how do you make sure that the math works for the developer given the high land rates and the sale price is not going up in the same proportion as the price of the land increase that has happened is. But otherwise overall India doing very well on Resi, Hyderabad doing very well on Resi. I think the important question is with the global economic slowdown, what is happening on the commercial sector? Clearly at a global level, there has been a huge amount of setback, not only because of the slackness in the global economies where corporates are not taking more space, but also because a lot of the employees haven't started to come back to work. A lot of people are working from home. Currently, if you were to look at US, a lot of the Europe, people haven't really started to come back to the office in its full flow. But as you move from west to east at a global level, you will see is that there is more occupation of people coming back to the office. So for example, if you were to look at Hong Kong, Singapore, India, you will see a lot of people have started to come back to work. So one thing is there, unlike Europe and US where people are still working from home, we have a majority of our workforce starting to come back into the office. Certainly the front offices have come back fully. The tech are still doing maybe 3 or 4 days in a week, but majority of them in the major IT parks have come back. I think the bigger impact now is of the slackness or the slowdown in the global economic environment. Our thinking is that this is where India has started to do exceptionally well because the global capability centers of large US corporates who were previously not outsourcing to India have now started to outsource to India. So we call them as GCC, Global Capability Centers. These are of American corporations who were working in the US and doing the processing in the US suddenly are saying is we're not going to outsource it to a third party in India. We ourselves want to come in. And we ourselves want to set up our own campus, our own office, our own employees. We want this to be directly under our control. And that is what we have seen in the last 1.5, 2 years, the GCC really progressing well across India. So the commercial demand that you are seeing is coming in largely from previously these corporates not having outsourced to India, or even if they had outsourced it, they would have outsourced to a third party, now coming in through their own global capability centers. And there is a difference if you outsource it to a third party versus if you set it up on your own. If you set it up on your own, you take bigger campus, you take a better quality campus, you take it inside the city. If you give it to a third party, they usually take very tight spaces per person. So they would do maybe 70, 80 square feet per person. Global Capability Center themselves will do 125 or 150 square feet, as a result of which they take a larger space. So that's why we are seeing the demand come in from the GCC centers really bulk up, whilst at the global level the economic environment is shrinking, and at a global level a lot of people haven't started to come back in Europe or US back to work, but in India, and as you go further east in the world, you will see is a lot of people have started to come back into this. I do have one concern of Hyderabad on the office side, and that I would say is largely on the supply. Now, if the entire planned supply, which is on paper, comes up, we don't have that kind of demand stacking up for Hyderabad. Usually what happens is that there is a difference between the actual built up space of office versus what is there on paper. So if in the event the paper supply is much larger than actually what it gets built out, then we are okay. But if the entire paper supply that has been put together starts to get built up, then I think the concern is not on the demand but on the supply, that there will be too much of supply at one given time that will hit the market.
Sir, as you said, how many GCCs have entered into India and Hyderabad? How much office space is available in Hyderabad as per your Anarock?
A number of GCCs have come in, and I would put it into three categories, these GCCs who have come in. Where Hyderabad is really benefiting is on the pharmaceutical side. The global capability centers of many of the research companies, many of the pharmaceutical companies who have set it up have a preference to come into Hyderabad. And that's the first category. The second category is really the financial companies. And these are largely the banks, a lot of the large American and European banks who've set up the GCCs here. And third is the tech companies who anyway were really outsourcing into India, but have become even more aggressive on outsourcing into India. So those are the three categories. Out of that, the first category, as I said, is Hyderabad benefits from the pharmaceutical sector, the drug manufacturers, the researchers, the scientists. That is one segment that Hyderabad is able to pull a lot of it is. As far as the space is concerned, the demand usually in Hyderabad hovers around 6 million square feet per year. So that's about 60 lakh square feet of new office space that is leased net every year. I'm not talking gross. Gross is even more. Gross can be 8 or 9 million square feet, but net is 5 to 6 million square feet. At this moment in time, the way that the supply has stacked up, it is like 4-5 years of supply coming up together equivalent to the demand. So that means nearly 2.5-3 crore square feet of supply is planned that is going to hit in the market. As I said, if this sort of phases out evenly, then there is no concern. But all of it comes in as bunched together in one go, then we will have a problem, because then you'll have 2.5-3 million square feet of supply hitting the market, but the demand is only sort of 5 to 6 million square feet. So that means like 4-5 years of supply, hitting the market, whilst the demand is going to be that much more lesser.
Our audience are eager to hear this answer from you, sir. So can you please tell us what could be the impact of 2000 rupees notes ban on Indian realty market? Will there be any negative impact or not?
We haven't yet seen any impact of the 2000 rupee note that had got banned. So clearly in the demonetization, we had seen there was some issue, back in the days. But when 2000 notes have got sort of banned, actually they've not got banned. They're just phasing out over a period of time. We haven't seen any meaningful impact on the Indian realty.
Sir, you have seen all the directions of Indian realty market, and you know very well about all those major cities market information. Here my question is, what similarities do you find in all these markets?
I think there are several core strengths, but I will enumerate three. First is the quality of talent that you get in Hyderabad, and by that I don't only mean is people who were born and brought up in Hyderabad. It is also a lot of people that are migrating into Hyderabad. So Hyderabad is becoming a source where you're being able to attract a lot of talent from various other cities in India. So that's the first thing is that attracts them, is that the quality of talent is phenomenal. Second is the infrastructure, whether it is the airport, whether it is the roads, whether it's the metro, whether it's the social fabric, whether it is from a safety security perspective, it is really, really high up. And third is that compared to many of the other metros in India, cost of living is still a lot more economical in Hyderabad. That is what international companies look at it. That is there enough talent for us to go in? How's the infrastructure? And by infrastructure, I don't only mean physical infrastructure, I also mean social infrastructure. Are there enough healthcare? Are there enough entertainment facilities? Are there enough educational institutions in Hyderabad? And if you look across the board, whether it's hospitals or schools or colleges or hotels or retail malls, enough of that social fabric is there. And third is, how expensive is it to do business in Hyderabad? And as I said, in the terms of cost of doing business, Hyderabad is still a lot more economical compared to some of the other cities in India.
Sir, you know very well that Indian realty sector is demanding infrastructure or industry status, and there is no response from the central government since few years. So, what could be the reason for this, sir?
Look, it's been a question that has been asked for a very long time that, should the real estate sector be given an industry status or like an infrastructure status? I'm not sure what are the true benefits of that. Is one of the benefits that I'm aware is that if you do give it infrastructure status, the interest rates become a lot more lower, and hence it becomes a lot more palatable for the developers to be able to take up the debt. But other than that, it is being considered as an industry today by the government. I do feel is that there is not much that is going to be secured by real estate getting an industry status, apart from just the benefit that you get on the interest.
Sir, typically, if 1 lakh SFT of IT space is leased out, how much could be the demand of a residential segment, and what could be the ratio here, sir? Can you please explain our viewers?
So it's a very interesting question is that typically what is the percentage of residential to office? So I'll explain the mathematics how it works is. So if there is 100,000 square feet of office space that is leased out, 100,000 square feet means 1 lakh square feet of office space that we leased out, we take it as a thumb rule that 100 square feet per person is the utilization of the office space. By virtue of that, it means that there will be 1,000 employees in a 1 lakh square feet office space. So 1,000 employees could potentially mean 1,000 home buyers, potential home buyers. I'm saying even if you were not to take the 1,000 entirely, you were to take 50% of it only. So that's about 500 home buyers who are potentially there in 100,000 square feet of office leasing. That's how I would look at the calculation.
Thanks a lot for sharing in-depth analysis on current realty market scenario in India as well as Hyderabad, sir. Thanks a lot for your valuable time. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.